In this episode of the G-Shock Watcher, we're going to be looking at the impact that the recent ransomware has had on Casio and its ability to deliver services. We're looking at some of the commentary from the president and CEO of Casio in terms of how G-Shock lines up against Apple Watches and Garmin. We're going to quickly touch on the EarthWatch collaboration, have a look at some new watches, and also a heat-resistant Casio watch for the sauna. Join me in this episode. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me today. We're going to try and make this a quick video. A friend of mine was challenging me and saying, hey Matt, can you get your videos to be a little bit shorter? And I take on that challenge wholeheartedly. I understand that many people want to be able to get information, get in and get out quick. So with that, let's start off over here talking about some of the things happening with Casio of late. I happened to go to this website just recently to check on their investor relations page because I was curious about the impact that the recent ransomware attack that Casio was hit by in terms of what was happening with their watches. Because certainly the EarthWatch watch, which I was waiting for, in fact, even the 50th anniversary watch I was waiting for, are watches that were impacted by the ransomware attack. And since then, Casio's come out and they've actually mentioned here that they've submitted a document about their security, so their financial reports. And they're highlighting in this particular report that they've asked for an extension in terms of the submission of their securities. And the reason for that is, as mentioned in an announcement on October 11th, notice of partial service outage and information leak caused by ransomware attack. As a result, Casio and some of its group companies were unable to prepare for required financial documents. Although access has been since restored, preparation of financial statements have resumed, and blah, 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 blah. Basically, this ransomware attack that's been hit Casio obviously has had fairly substantial impact. In fact, I just went to the Casio service center to take in my G-Shock Frogman. The clasp itself wasn't really attaching so well. And there were a few people there, and every time I heard someone ask for support or replacement, they were literally saying that the servers were down. It was going to take a month or two to be able to get stock. They didn't necessarily say that this was due to the ransomware attack, but I had heard that people were saying that some of these timelines were being extended because of the ransomware attack. So it's really had a massive impact on Casio and its ability to deliver services and products to the marketplace. So, really make sure that you are always keeping your security posture as strong as possible. It's obvious that it's not just consumers, but any organization that can be hit by ransomware. Now, talking about some of the conversations that are actually going on, one of them here is really the collaboration on EarthWatch and G-Shock's efforts in terms of preserving the environment. Not necessarily a lot of information about what they're doing to preserve the environment, but more about the collaboration they're doing. And they're particularly talking about the watch, which I'm such a big fan of, which is this one here, the EarthWatch collaboration, which I have just made an order on. I'm waiting. I believe that order is confirmed. My friends in Japan are trying to lock that one down for me. But what we actually have in this particular article are some of the people from EarthWatch talking about their experiences in getting people on board to help with EarthWatch activities to help promote biodiversity and a whole range of different things. And they sort of make reference to the fact that this watch is a really nice embodiment of some of the things that EarthWatch actually does, and promotes that collaboration together with G-Shock. So it's kind of cool to be able to have that on your wrist, as it were. Now, another thing which I sort of talked about was the conversation with Yuichi Masuda-san. I'm probably not pronouncing it very well, but he's the president and CEO of Casio Computer, and obviously the person who leads what's going on with watch development. And I won't go through the entire interview. It's an interesting one. They talk about the 50th anniversary and what's been happening there. But he does talk a little bit here about the fact that watches are actually changing. He talks about Chinese consumerism that's coming over to Japan, where people buy lots of different watches. But they sort of said that one of the changes in the market is the introduction of Apple Watches. And that in itself is now becoming the norm in terms of what people actually expect. And I know many of you are kind of like me. Drawing this comparison is one which sometimes makes you feel a little bit nervous, because we have seen where this approach may not be working out for them. And what they've actually said here is that they really want to make sure that they maintain the brand of G-Shock, but they do want to be able to go ahead and actually add in new features and functions. Now, this is where we've seen some of the challenges, the range band being one of those watches which has gone from a situation of being a really rock solid, solar powered, tough watch to something which you have to put onto a dock like the Apple Watch. I mean, don't get me wrong, I have an Apple Watch. I use it to work out regularly, to monitor heart rate and all those different things, but it synchronizes with a massive ecosystem of the Apple TV and my iPad and my iPhone and a whole range of different things. I use it for that entire purpose, but having a G-Shock as a fitness measuring device is not something I want to go ahead and actually use. I like to use that watch for style and looks and story. My Apple Watch is my fitness thing because it has all of those features. So while he talks about the want to be able to bring in some of those functions, I'm not sure if that's necessarily where many in the community want G-Shock to actually go to. So that's an interesting situation. Now, as he was talking about the 50th anniversary with these watches, and one of them is the GMC watch, which I purchased recently. That would be that golden black one. I did happen to have a look at some of the other things that they were doing around the 50th anniversary. So we've got these watches here, and they have a anniversary sticker and an anniversary bandana there, which is kind of interesting. But I went down and had a look. Kind of nice, some of the watches. That ProTrek watch, nice and chunky, something which maybe one day I'll try a ProTrek out and see what's actually going on. But I also noticed the watches below. Now, of course, many of you have seen these watches before in terms of what they actually look like. But what I find interesting are these two watches down the bottom here. This GBM 2100B and this GBM 2100RH. Now, this one is a Rui Hachimura signature model watch, which is kind of a nice watch. It's balanced off with a basketball. It's got the nice sort of colors. But what I do like is not so much that one, but this one, this 2100B-7A. I hadn't noticed this particular watch before, but now I've seen it. It's a really nice looking watch. You've got that whole black textured feel and this nice white resin band. I kind of like the color combinations, a little bit of red here, the black and the white. It gives me those Stormtrooper-esque kind of vibes. I think it's a very, very cool looking watch, and might be something that might have to look at in the future at some point. Maybe not this year. We are getting close to the end of the year, but I kind of like the look of this particular watch. It's a very, very cool looking watch. So tough solar, Bluetooth, all the things that you kind of need to be able to go ahead and actually travel with. So not a bad looking watch to check out. Finally, last couple of things, the Casio Ring watch. That's been announced here in Singapore. It's coming soon, so December 2024. So not just in Singapore, but a couple of other markets as well. So if you're looking to get that Casio Ring watch, watch the site. It's coming. But the last one, which I thought was really interesting, was Casio is crowdfunding a heat-resistant sauna watch. So if you've ever been to a sauna before, it's a kind of a very confronting thing. If you've never been to one before, I love the saunas and the baths in Japan. You have to get totally naked and sort of walk around, but they typically give you a key to put around your wrist as you walk around, so you know where your keys and your wallet and clothes actually are. But they've built here a particular watch which can be used inside the spa. So you've got a white one and a black one, and looks like a blue one as well. Now, these are kind of cool. I'm guessing what they actually have is some basic capabilities to sort of track how long you're actually in the sauna for and things like that. Only available in Japan, but you know what? This is kind of the things we want to see from Casio and G-Shock. It's not to go ahead and be something which Apple and Garmin already are, but it's something to be themselves, to embrace some of that Japanese culture, that ruggedness, that feeling of what G-Shock actually is. So I'm kind of excited that they're actually coming out with this Casio watch. I don't think I'd actually use it in a sauna. I don't use saunas too often, but in Japan, I possibly could. But it's kind of cute, right? It's got a very Japanese feel about it. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. That's the news for this week. Sorry it's a little bit late, but it was a very busy weekend. I'm off to China this week and then going on 2 weeks of vacation, so it might be a little bit light on videos. But thank you so much for your support. We've gotten to over 1,000 subscribers, and that's only because of your support. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Keep sticking with me, and I'll keep bringing you the news and all the information on G-Shocks. Thank you very much.